My name is Georgia Laybourne. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer here at Linworks, and I've been around the retail tech space for about 20 years. In fact, it's too long to count. It could be longer than that. But I am really excited, Andy, to be here on a week when there's positive news for retail. It's so exciting and the sun is shining brightly and home and garden is taking off again. But I have to tell you, Andy, before I launch into my presentation, my interpretation of the completion checkout values between Mother's Day and Valentine's Day is showcasing more devotion to our mothers than to our other halves, which worries me ever so slightly. So I'd be interested to hear any other interpretations of the difference in checkout over those two holidays. Okay, moving on. I wanted to touch base on multi-channel and online only, because I actually think the world has moved on considerably from when the concept of multi-channel was first introduced to us all those years ago. So if you move that slide on one, I've done the classic thing of using some definitions, and I'm sorry if I'm teaching grandma to suck eggs, but I just think it's really important that we're all on the same page, because I think quite often we use some of these terms interchangeably. Multi-channel traditionally is when we've got bricks and mortar and online. And I think everybody on this call is going to appreciate the nuances between those two go-to-market strategies. Digital customers, in-person customers, the different experiences retailers need to bring to the way they manage those customer interactions, the flow of physical goods to support the fulfillment for those two different storefront arrangements and all that good stuff. But what's really important to understand is that multi-channel as a term relates to retailers who are operating across multiple channels from a sales and marketing perspective, but behind the scenes, everything is disjointed. They've still got a process for this channel, a different process for that channel, and they haven't really brought it all into a holistic whole. And that's where the concept of omni-channel comes in. Omni-channel is when you are actually approaching both of those channels with a seamless customer experience from the moment you start selling the product right through to how you fulfill. And then, of course, online-only retail focuses purely on digital. But my argument here is, in the modern day, it's not just about your website anymore. It's about your website and the 5 or 6 marketplaces that you're also probably selling on. So arguably, online-only retail has in itself become a form of multi-channel. So that's kind of where I just wanted to set the scene for what I wanted to talk about today. So if you move on to the next slide, we start to look in detail about the back-end spaghetti junction of the complexities of multi-channel retail. When you've got multiple marketplaces, multiple stores, plus your D2C, maybe even wholesale, all of these different channels that you're selling on, you've probably got different shipping providers depending on the different models that you're using. You might have different fulfillment providers. You might have multiple suppliers for all of those different channels. And your team have to interact with all of those interfaces to manage and control what's going on. And in a multi-channel environment, we tend to see those channels isolated. We often see duplicate workflows, quite a lot of arduous and repetitive manual processing. You've got a bit of a siloed tech stack, visibility gaps, error-prone processes. And at the end of the day, it's a pretty low quality experience, not only for you as the retailer, but also probably for your customer experience. So that's where we come to the next slide, which showcases the classic omni-channel setup, which sets you up to basically provide a better experience internally, more cost-effective, more efficient, and a seamless customer journey. So in this instance, and very conveniently, what a surprise, your speaker has some technology that can help you with this. What we do is we centralize all of those disparate processes so that you can amalgamate your suppliers, amalgamate your marketplaces, amalgamate those different channels so that you've got one platform that you're interacting with to manage those operations. There's no effort duplication. You can automate many of those processes and alleviate that manual intensity, get much better accuracy of inventory, which, let's face it, is the lifeblood of retail. You can create that seamless customer experience. And as I mentioned at the beginning, efficiency and cost effectiveness. So fundamentally, I suppose, underlying message is let's focus on the needs and wants and desires of omni-channel retail, regardless of whether you're in store, on a D2C website, operating through marketplaces. The fact of the matter is, if you're juggling multiple channels, whatever they look like, this concept of omni is really, really important for both our internal health and well-being and for the satisfaction and loyalty of our customers. So shifting on, just a couple of facts and stats for you. A recent poll that we ran at the tail end of last year, we interviewed a large number of retailers and a large number of consumers. And there was an overwhelming preferential response from customers that their ideal place to shop, when given the choice of marketplace, your D2C website, your store, or a catalogue, 51% said marketplace. So marketplace has really, really taken off as a place where you can find your customers. And it's rarely just one marketplace. More often than not, there are multiple marketplaces if you really want to expand your net to capture as many customers as possible. The other part of our poll found from the retailer base that on average, they are selling across 5 or 6 channels, 5 or 6 different marketplaces. So we see here a drive from the consumer to shop marketplace and a drive from retailers to be on those marketplaces. But as a result of that, the complexities are going up in their business. And that's something that we all need to take into consideration, because complexity means cost. Cost means margin erosion. And let's face it, none of us want to go there. So just a quick look at what I mean on the next slide by the proliferation of marketplaces. I mean, this is not an exhaustive list. This is just a selection of, and they're all different. No marketplace is created equal. They've all got different interfaces, different rules and regulations, different algorithms. They've probably also got different retail media offerings that you've got to navigate. Lots and lots of complexity in dealing with those marketplaces. And as I say, if you can find a platform that consolidates your interaction with those, it's going to save you a lot of time and money, but it's going to give you access to a much broader customer base. Okay, I've got shamefully 2 slides that just give you a little bit more information about Limworks in case you're interested. So on the right-hand side here, what I'm trying to showcase is the sheer power and breadth of the ecosystem in which we're operating, which we can bring to a retailer should you become part of the Limworks community. And we're handling at the core of this machine, we're handling things like inventory management, warehouse management, order management, listing management to those marketplaces. And on the outside, you can see all of the players that we can interact with and connect you to help you with your shipping and fulfillment, ERP financials and point of sale, but also the marketplace and the places where you're selling. And we aim to help you expand your business, take control of the physical flow of goods, and automate as many processes as possible. Next slide, quick credentials, because nobody has any clue how big we are. 1.1 billion orders going through our platform annually, 18 billion with GMV. We're working with 4,000 brands around the globe, and our most important marketplace connections are Amazon and eBay. Okay, final slide before I open it up to Q&A. Andy had asked me before I put together my speaking points for today, which verticals are favoring which channels. And I thought, okay, well, let's try and just summarize these channels, because you've got big box retail out on those out of town industrial estates. You've got your high street shops, and we all know the challenges that high street shops are experiencing. And then you've got your local shops and your kind of like Tesco Metros and things that are happening again right on the edge of town, but in a very small format. You've got your classic online D2C, your marketplace, and of course you've got social. And I don't think there's much rhyme or reason as to where verticals play. I mean, let's take home and garden, which is a booming vertical at the moment with the spring upon us. We know that they're big box, But we can also see that some of those big box home and garden retailers have really taken a hit recently and shut down, and are now being completely reorchestrated into a different format. We know local shops are really gaining traction because people are looking for that in-person convenience. And, that's very much the kind of food and drugstore capability is taking on that local shop. But regardless of the vertical, they've all now got that online channel, and they're all starting to embrace marketplace. And those of us who are truly brave and innovative are going down the social road and seeing what TikTok can bring for them in terms of that viral potential. So I think it's horses for courses in terms of which channel for which industry. But I also think there's a potential for some testing, for some dipping your toe in the water and figuring out what works for you in order to expand your potential of customers, but also how you can bring efficiencies into your business in terms of the channels that you're selling on. So Andy, that was about all I had for today in terms of inspiration for the group on the phone. If anybody wants to connect with me, I'm pretty easy to find on LinkedIn. You can take down my email address. I'd love to hear from you. And Andy, I'm very happy to take questions.
Thanks, Georgia. Thanks for defining it all as well with a slide, what all the terms mean, because I just haven't done that. Uh, could I just ask about omni-channel, right? So we've sort of thrown these terms around. It's been around for ages, or it's been talked about for ages, right? Is it like at a mature stage yet?
I think everybody would like to think it is. I mean, once upon a time, 10 years ago, I remember quite a few retailers reacting really badly to the concept of omnichannel. They considered it to be a vendor created term to enhance our proposition that we had for the market. But actually, if we think about it really carefully, and more often than not, omnichannel is equated with omnichannel marketing and the concept of consistent and momentous messages that you put out across channels and they all work together as one. But apply it to the concept of your business in terms of your operations. Just last week, when I was out in Las Vegas at Prosper, I met a customer who was selling on eBay. Sorry, they were selling on Walmart and they were selling on Amazon. And internally, they had one team that managed Amazon sales, one team that managed Walmart sales. It was a completely different fulfillment flow for Amazon, completely different fulfillment flow for Walmart, and never the twain shall meet. Imagine the duplicative effort that you're creating. So I don't think it is mature, Andy. I think we need to buckle down, do that classic back to basics, and really look at whether we're embracing the concept of omni in our business to remove those duplications.
What's what's the better one to have? Is it multi-channel or online only, right?
Omni-channel, sorry. I preempted what your question was going to be. There isn't a better one blanket across the industry. It's what's right for your business and what's right for your consumers. If you're going to have in store, I do think that every single retailer needs to be thinking about what they're providing in store and who they're catering to. Experiential, instant gratification, community spirit. What is it that your customers are after when they come into the store? Because so many people have now flocked to online. That if you're not online, if you're not on those marketplaces, you're likely to be losing out on custom. So my gut feel is online is super important. But if you're on the high street, make sure you've got your format right.
Yeah, I mean that always strikes me as an interesting point, really, because stores are still the bulk of retail, right? That's where most of the money is spent still. And yet I can't help but notice, even when I go to a busy location, right? So I live near Kingston, for example. Kingston is packed when you go to Kingston, but there's still empty shops in place, and you can't help but think it's not just the volume of people. There's loads of people walking past your shop, but they're not necessarily sort of going in there. It's quite a hard one to crack, isn't it? That sort of why come in here question.
It confounds me every day, Andy. I also live in Surrey. I live in Farnham. And it's just not like it was. It's a beautiful market town, but so many empty outlets. And those outlets that are open, they're not that attractive and inviting. And it does beg the question, who's on the high street and who are we catering to? Because I can't help but feel that there's more diversity in that consumer on the high street than ever before. Because you've got your Gen Zs and your millennials milling around, but you've also got your your aging generation, and then you've got your, your people who just don't have any time on their hands. So as I say, what are we catering to? Is it the experience? Is it company because they want to talk to somebody? Or is it that instant gratification of you've got your inventory in the store and I can take it home and not have to wait at home for delivery? But I think we're in an inflection point as to what does in-store shopping mean, both to the consumer and to the retailer.